Hi, welcome to my Thriving Child Friday Coffee Chats. Again, this is just a 10-minute chat each Friday. The episode will come out and we'll just go over a fun activity that you can use with your child to help them thrive and develop different skills. And I'll be bringing that occupational therapist perspective to things. So ways that you can grade a task to make it easier or more challenging, and then also kind of going into what are the skills that this activity works on and breaking that down so you know kind of how you can tailor that activity to work on something that maybe your child needs more help with. So today's activity is making a scan board. So this is a really fun activity because the actual act of making the activity incorporates a lot of skills, and then also once you have the board made, there's a lot of different fun activities that you can do with that board. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 type deal. So to make the board, you can either start with a poster board or a piece of paper, whatever fits kind of your needs more. A piece of paper would be more if you were putting the paper to work on scanning at tabletop, so that near point scanning. Or a poster board might be nice if you're going to put it like up on a wall and be looking from a little bit farther away. So those are kind of two starting points for that. And then really the options for making this board are endless. So you can have tons of themes, and that's going to dictate what kind of objects you put on the board. So you could do like a holiday theme, a season. If they're working on sight words, you can put sight words up on the board. You could do letters, you could do numbers, shapes, any type of category if they're working on a food category or weather. So there's lots of different ways to grade that, and then you can find, depending on what you pick, you can cut different items out of a magazine. You can use stamps, you can draw pictures, you can use like puff paint for more of like a tactile cue. You could have them glue on buttons, find different twigs or flowers or things outside to glue onto the board. So really just so many ways to be creative with it. And the best part about that is that they can help decide what they want that board to be, and they're going to be more interested in participating if they're excited about it. So that part is nice. So again, lots of different ways that you can tailor it. And then I did want to mention, obviously the less items and the larger items is going to be a little bit easier. And then if you want to increase that challenge, you can put more items on the board and have them be a little bit smaller. So smaller to manipulate. And then when they're scanning on that board, it's more difficult if there are more objects. So that's just a quick note on how you can grade that part of things. So different components that can be included in this activity. So social component. So say they're going to do this with a friend or a sibling, taking turns planning together, deciding what they want on the board together, and just sharing in that process, you'll be able to incorporate some social skills. Visual motor. So if they're going to use handwriting to write down letters or numbers, anything like that, shapes on the board, that visual motor skill. So again, that's taking in that visual stimuli and then having that motor output, that's their handwriting, and that control, that's that visual motor skill. So anytime they're working on handwriting, they're working on that skill. And that includes numbers, shapes, pre-writing strokes, letters, words, all of that is included in the visual motor category. So then also executive functioning. So when they're planning this, they're planning what the theme is. They're going to help gather materials, and then they're going to execute that plan. So they have this idea in their head that they want a 4th of July themed scan board. So they're going to make a list and brainstorm all the things that they would want on that board, with your help, find those items, and then put them on the board and kind of bring that whole project to life. So just working on that multi-step directional for a project is going to be working on that executive functioning skills. And you can grade that, so you can verbally tell them what to get. You can make a list for them. You can collaborate with them to write the list. You can just have them check things off. So there's a lot of different ways that they can be involved in that executive planning without just doing the whole thing by themselves. So moving on to fine motor and strength and bilateral skills. So your fine motor skills, using those muscles in the hands, and then bilateral, using both hands together. So by selecting items of various sizes, so say buttons, small stickers, they're working on different skills, that using their pincer grasp if they are using smaller objects, and then, for example, stickers, they would use both hands together to peel the sticker off of the backing, things like that. So it's just a nice seamless way to work those skills into the activity. Scissors, if they're cutting out objects from like a magazine, so using one hand to hold the paper, another hand to cut, that's both strength and bilateral skills. Gluing items, if they're using like a squeeze glue, they're having to use a lot of fine motor strength to get the glue out and control to put it in the correct spot. Or if they're using a glue stick, using both hands to pull the glue stick apart. So again, using both hands together. So that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg of the skills that they're just going to naturally participate in by doing this activity. Spatial awareness, so how far objects are apart from each other. So you can emphasize spacing them out by giving them visual boundaries and circles to put different objects in, or you can just have them space them out as they want to, but again, working on that positional space. So you can say, hey, can you put the blue button above the pink sticker? And they would have to know, okay, what's above or what's below. You can do that with left and right and that sort of thing. So working on that spatial awareness and position and space and directions. So once they've made the board, you can do some different games with it. So I Spy would be one of those games. So when they play I Spy, if they're looking for a certain color, or you can use another descriptor, shape, etc., they're having to use those visual discrimination skills. So being able to find an object with certain features, size, shape, color. So just a fun game of I Spy. Once that board is completed, you can say I spy, a green triangle, depending on what you have on the board, but you can kind of make that a fun game and then work on that scanning piece too. So functional scanning. So being able to scan in an organized pattern from left to right is a really important skill for reading, for writing, for being able to find things in your environment. So helping them learn that they're looking for a specific item on that board to scan from left to right. And working on that organized scanning pattern is a really good skill. So that's just if you're having them find specific things, or if you're playing the I Spy game. When you're playing that I Spy game, you're also working on figure ground skills, so them being able to find a specific item in a busy background. So that background would be that scan board. There's a lot going on and they're trying to find one specific thing. And so that is helpful for those skills. And last but not least is form constancy. So that's being able to recognize an item when it's presented in a different environment, or if it's in a different size. So that could be, for example, like if there was a small heart, but then it was also larger at another part of the board. So it's still a heart, but it's just presented in a slightly different form. And so then being able to recognize it when it's a smaller object and when it's a larger object. So you can work on that. Where are the two hearts? So they're going to have to recognize, okay, there's two hearts on the board. I see a small one and a large one. And just because they're different sizes, they're still the same shape. So those are kind of the different ways that you can work on it. And again, you can put it at the tabletop if they're working on just near point scanning, or you could put it up on the wall and have them scan from there. So you can play that I Spy game that works on a lot of different skills. And then again, you can have whatever theme you want for that board. So try to keep this in 10 minutes or less. So I'm really close to my time, but I'm finishing up. But again, this is My Thriving Child Coffee Chat. These are going to be weekly chats to give you some ideas for the weekend ahead to help with your child's development. So I will see you next week. Thank you.